Hey friends, welcome back to She's At It Again. I think I've mentioned before maybe how much I love roasted sweet potatoes. That when I was a kid, we had sweet potatoes, had like sugar, lots of sugar and some more sugar, a little bit of butter and more sugar, maybe some cinnamon on there, but some more sugar on it. But what I realized as an adult is if you roast sweet potatoes, their natural sweetness comes through. And I promise you, I'm not even exaggerating when I say it tastes like a dessert. So come with me as I show you the easiest way that I know of to make roasted sweet potatoes, and they are divine. So just go with me on this. Trying to find an appropriate sweet potato. These are huge. Some are this big. I've got one that's this big, and I'm not going to cut all these up. Well, the camera's on anyway. I'll cut them up eventually. But I just want to show you what I do with these. So, of course, I'm going to save my peels. So look at this handy dandy little peeler I have. When I was a kid, we just used a paring knife. My grandmother did not own a peeler. That's what gourmet chefs owned. But I'm telling you, I got two of them. They are so handy. All right, so we're just going to peel the outer layer of the sweet potato off. And I will tell you this, there's a difference in sweet potatoes. Here recently I bought what was labeled as organic oriental sweet potatoes. I just thought, oh well, different color, probably not a lot of difference to it, but when I roasted them, they were not sweet. So I won't be buying those again. I would in a pinch, but not for a sweet potato. They were more just like, it wasn't as savory as a regular potato, but I don't even know how to describe it. But I will tell you, if you can find a Beauregard variety of sweet potato, they not only have fabulous flavor, but they are a very smooth consistency throughout. They're not stringy, they're not fibrous. They're just really, really good sweet potatoes. So whenever I can find Beauregards, trust me, I'm buying them. I do not know what variety this is because Miss Nancy didn't have it marked, but I do know I buy these from Good Measure Market in our local town, and they are fabulous. They're organic sweet potatoes. So I have this all peeled. Now notice I didn't wash this before I started peeling it. And the reason being is because if I wash it, I need to dry it really, really well before I start peeling it with the peeler because I just can't hold it well enough. So I don't normally peel it. Now sometimes you can cut them lengthwise like this, but because this one's just kind of fat, I'll get that one little spot off. This one's kind of fatter than some of them. I'm going to cut these in slices, then we're going to cut them in chunks. Your ideal size for this would be about, I'd say the size of a regular marshmallow. But if you want them to roast faster, cut them smaller. So this is about what I'm talking about. Something about like that. And we're going to toss them into a zip top bag. Now this looks kind of gross. It's not really gross. It's just, that's what I always put my sweet potatoes in when I toss them in oil. And I keep this in the refrigerator so the oil in it doesn't go rancid. So whenever I need it, I just pull it back out. It has residual oil in there. But we're going to cut our sweet potato in chunks. Put them in a zip top bag. I'll get this closer to the camera so you can see it. I love roasting sweet potatoes because unlike cooking them in water and just boiling them, you don't they don't absorb a bunch of water because they don't have any water to absorb. It's like those natural sugars in that sweet potato just get so concentrated when you roast them, and especially when they get some little lightly browned edges on it. Oh my goodness, it is just like candy. I'm not even kidding. Okay, so I'll do the rest of these potatoes, but I want to show you for right now what I do with these. So you have your bag like this, and I take my organic olive oil, and I'm just pouring a splash in there now. I'll pour more for the other ones when I add the other ones to it. Going to seal the bag. Don't necessarily need to press all the air out, but you're just going to kind of toss these like this with your hands. Roll them all around. Now, I have some bread rising right now. This is for a dinner I'm hosting tonight. I have some bread rising right now, so I'll turn my oven on and I'll put these sweet potatoes on the baking pan, and I'll try to remember to show you that process, but I'll just roast these while I'm baking my bread. So we don't have to leave the oven on for two different things. It's more like just an extended period for one thing. And these only take about maybe 30 to 40 minutes to roast. It doesn't take a long time at all. So by the time my bread's done, the sweet potatoes will be done too. But in the meantime, I can put this bag in the refrigerator and keep them chilled until ready to go in the oven. So this is our first step. You're just going to take these, put them in a bag, and toss them with oil. If you just have one sweet potato and you want to make just enough for, a couple of people or just me, then by all means, you can cut these ahead of time. Cut these up the night before you go to bed. And the next day when you come in from work, toss them on a baking sheet and bake those when you're cooking something else for dinner. So, all right, we'll be back in a minute, and I'll show you what we do when we put them on the pan to roast them and pop them in the oven. So, see you back in I just wanted to show you this huge bag of sweet potatoes. These were all 5 of those big sweet potatoes. See my hands? Yeah! Hadn't washed them yet. Look at this. So the amount of oil is just going to depend on how much you want on it. I'd probably put maybe an 1/8 of a cup. So 2 tablespoons, 2 to 3 tablespoons in a big bag like this. But you're just going to kind of lay them either on the counter or in the refrigerator. Let them sit like that. After a while, flip them over and let the oil go back down. So what you want to do is just coat the edge. You don't want it just dripping off. It's not going to hurt it if it's dripping off, but really the key here is you just want all the edges coated so they'll get a nice browning on them from the oil. Okay, so I'm going to stick these in the fridge. We're still about 22 minutes away from being able to shape our bread, and then we have to let it rise. So we'll let this sit in the refrigerator, and that olive oil will firm up a bit in the refrigerator. So again, we'll come back when we start to put them on the baking sheet. Okay, we are back with our continuation of our roasted sweet potatoes, and here's what I want to show you. It's just, all you're going to need for this is just salt. So you want a pretty large pan because you don't want them to be layered on top of each other. You want each one of them to have as much surface attention, not surface tension, but surface attention as they can get. And I probably actually need a bigger pan than this, but this is just the one I'm going with. Okay, back in the fridge this goes. I want to make sure all the pieces of sweet potato are out of it because I don't want a sweet potato sitting in there until the next time I make these. But it just keeps the oil from going rancid, so it works. Okay, spread this out a bit. Seems like the bigger the pan, the less time it takes for these to roast. So I'm just going to take and sprinkle this with salt. You can always add more later, but you can add less. So you don't want to over salt it, but at the same time, it does give it a really nice flavor, almost a depth of flavor because of the caramelization that takes place on top of these. And I know I'm talking kind of sciencey, and I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I know what it's doing. I just cook till things taste good, and that's what I want this to do. Okay, I just turned our oven on because we're going to preheat it. I have some bread to bake, and we're going to go ahead and put this in there to start baking, but I'm going to put it on a lower rack. I'll turn this around so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to put this on this rack down here, and it's just clearing the bottom. So that'll stay in there probably long after the bread bakes. It only takes about 20 minutes for the bread to bake, but we'll be back when these are done and I'll show you what they look like. Okay, our timer just went off. Our sweet potatoes, I think, are roasted all the way done. I just want to show you what they look like. There's really no reason for me letting them cool off, so I can just leave them in the oven, but I'll bring them out to show them to you. Right now it's about 1:15 and our dinner party isn't until 6:30 tonight. So you can see what these look like. Those are beautiful. Now I'll transfer these to a prettier container, a prettier serving dish before our guests start arriving. But anyway, just wanted to let you see these. These have really a lot of oil in them. I don't normally have that much oil in the bottom of them, but I don't even care. That olive oil leaves a good taste to it. Now again, you can sprinkle these with cinnamon if you want to, but there is absolutely no reason to add any more sweetener to it. These are like eating dessert. They're so good. So thanks for spending time with us. We appreciate you so much. I hope you're enjoying the content of our channel, and we look forward to sharing something again with you